and welcome to another edition of AppSec Decoded. I'm Taylor Armerding, security advocate with the Synopsys Software Integrity Group. We're going to be talking about the recently released 2023 Software Vulnerability Snapshot report by the Synopsys Cybersecurity Research Center. And that report is based on anonymized data gathered from 3,830 tests conducted on 2,061 software systems. Joining me to talk about that is one of our resident experts on the topic, Chai Bhatt, Security Solutions Manager with the Synopsys Software Integrity Group. And there were 6 major takeaways. So let's just take them one by one. The first is the proverbial good news and bad news. On the good side, the number of vulnerabilities found decreased over the past 3 years. But on the bad side, the high and critical severity vulnerabilities increased significantly. So what does the snapshot tell us about why there were more severe vulnerabilities and how to reduce them?
It's a great question. And let me kind of break that down into 3 areas, three
Sure.
little smaller areas. So,
Okay.
one, let me give you a little bit of let me give the audience a little bit of a background on the tests that were done specifically that comprised the findings of this report.
Sure.
So, as Taylor said, we did thousands of tests in the year 2022, and the data from those tests are basically the cornerstone that forms this report. But this data primarily was derived from gray box and black box tests, right?
Okay.
So in Synopsys, we have our managed services division, essentially, that does testing as a third-party testing provider for a lot of companies out there, across various industries. And that's, we have a cloud portal that you can submit your application on, and then we test it and we give you back the results. And that's kind of how it works. What typically, I mentioned gray box and black box, but most of the tests that they did on were, done on a complete, well, all of them were done on a completely finished application, or application that is in running state.
And it's out there in the Wild West internet, right?
Exactly. Well, yeah, I mean, it could be out there, or most likely it could be just pre-production, a fully built application that's right before production, and then also in some cases on production applications yearly or bi-yearly or something like that, right? So most of these tests were either penetration tests or DAS tests, right? And so, a little bit of others. So the hypothesis is that while these companies send fully built applications to us to test on, they have undergone some form of automated testing during the software development lifecycle of these applications. So as these are built, I'm sure they have gone, we don't exactly know which form of testing, but I'm assuming they've gone through SAST, DAST, IAST, fuzzing, some permutation and combination of these types of tests, right? So we get applications that are fully built, working, and tested to some extent.
Sure.
So that's kind of the background of the tests that we did on these applications. We did this report now for the 3rd year in a row. So we have 3 years worth of data to look back to and compare. And you rightly say that the first year we did it, over 95% of the tests found vulnerabilities, which is a staggering amount. The second year, it dropped a little bit. And now the 3rd year, as you pointed out, it has dropped even more. So we see the downward trend. The third thing I want to point out is, yes, so the critical vulnerabilities did go up. And as you said, the critical vulnerabilities, high severity vulnerabilities are really, really bad, right? So what are critical vulnerabilities? So OWASP defines critical vulnerabilities as by their CVSS score, right? It's the Common Vulnerability Scoring System. The way OWASP characterizes critical and high severity vulnerabilities is that they look upon 3 things. One is, what is the impact of that vulnerability getting breached. And
Yeah.
if the impact is really, really high, it's obviously a critical or a high severity vulnerability. That's one of the points. The other points that they look at is how easily can this vulnerability be exploited, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
especially now that hackers are using autonomous tools to exploit vulnerabilities, they can literally, try different types of permutations and a combination and exploits and exploit a vulnerability within hours of it manifesting,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
so how easily can a vulnerability be exploited? That's another tidbit that goes into this ranking. And the third tidbit is like how much that damage can escalate within your system. It can go from application to server to network and so on. How quickly it can escalate, and how much data can be stolen, and what damage can be done. Can you actually inject code or inject like a SQL query like with an and actually change the code on your application?
Right.
So these factors that go into it are really, really important, because these are the worst type of vulnerabilities, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
approximately 30% of our tests found high severity or critical vulnerabilities, which is really scary because these vulnerabilities can be exploited within hours. And again, these are pre-production or production applications. So
Yeah. Yeah.
clearly, there's something leaking in the testing that's going on in the SDLC, because this many vulnerable apps should not even be making it to pre-production.
Absolutely.
That's kind of the summary.
Thank you, Chai. We'll have to leave it there. But remember that you can download the 2023 Software Vulnerability Snapshot report, which has considerably more depth and detail than even we've gone into. And it's free on synopsys.com. And thank you for joining us. And until next time, I'm Taylor Armerding with the Synopsys Software Integrity Group. We help organizations build trust into their software.